Okay, we are good to go. All right, so hopefully everybody's doing good. This is the beginning of your start of your week here. Want to talk a little bit about workshopping. Some of y'all that's been around for I shouldn't say been around, but been on this call for any amount of time, at least a year. You probably heard that mentioned before. Workshopping. And that is just you finding other ways to offer the product without going and saying, I'm doing a legal shield presentation, if that makes sense. So, not that there's something wrong with it, but it's just about being creative, right? Everybody doesn't want a legal shield presentation. So sometimes you can workshop, and they do that in every industry. They do that in the insurance industry. Well, most sales industries, they do that. They come up with different workshops that they can do, and it's very easy to do here in Legal Shield because there's so many different products that they sell that you can find a way to workshop it, if that makes any sense. So you can workshop the identity theft program, you can workshop the small business, you can workshop the CDL membership, and you can workshop it in different ways. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to ask everybody to stay to the end because we're going to talk about something at the end. I know some of you guys jump off a little early to get on other calls, but if you can stay to the end, about 9:15, we're gonna have a conversation with everybody 15 minutes before we close out. So y'all can stay all the way to that point. I know most of y'all do anyway, but we're just asking for the ones who normally jump off not to. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and do an introduction, then we'll talk a little bit about workshopping. If you have any questions as we talk about it, of course, you can raise your electronic hand, raise your real hand, or go on the chat and just ask a question there, and we will go ahead and answer the question in the chat, whichever way you want to do it. But we'll be talking about workshopping, so I'm gonna turn it over to Sharanda Ivy first, just do a quick introduction, and then I'll do a quick introduction, then we'll get moving on it then.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharanda Ivy here in Byron, Georgia. I've been with Legal Shield. This is our 10th year. I've been with the company. We are 50K ring earners. We are business solutions field trainer, certification training, CDLP certification training. We've earned the production award for 1,000 memberships, and also recognized 2 years in a row for Field Trainer of the Year with the company, and just focused on CDLP in this space, cross-selling with the small business plan and the legal and CDLP. We actually earned our ring in this space when we chose our major and our minor. So that's a tip for you if you haven't taken those certification trainings. Make sure you go out and take those so you can kind of learn how to work your business versus we all should be full service associates, but definitely to find your niche in a particular space. And so that's what my husband and I have done with the CDLP space. So I do host a accountability call on Thursday nights. Those individuals are definitely, out there masterminding on things that they're doing in the market and objections that they're reaching. And so I facilitate that call on Thursday night. So back over to you, Dunbar.
All right, good stuff. And for those who did, I know most of y'all, I've been seeing you on Facebook wishing Sharanda a happy birthday. So I know it was last week Thursday, but it was after last week Monday. So if y'all don't mind wishing Sharanda a happy belated birthday. And I had the pleasure of being able to spend 2 days of her birthday weekend with her and her wonderful husband, Mr. Jenkins. So we had a great time this weekend hanging out, spending some time together. So just tell her happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sharanda.
Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So I am going to do my quick introduction. Robert Dunbar, been with the business 14 years, company 14 years, been a trainer for about 8 years. I worked different areas of the business and landed on really training in the CDL space because we felt like it was a space that needed more training. It was a space that didn't have a lot of people that were in that space didn't have any of the particulars they needed because it wasn't a lot being talked about as it came to the industry, more or less just about the product. And we started training on it and created a Facebook page and a training and all those other things to really bring this all together. And it's been helpful for a lot of people. So I'm really glad that we moved in that space and that this was a good place to get people who were wanting to look for something a little bit more niche. There were a lot of people who had kind of slowed down thinking that, hey, maybe Legal Shield is not for me. And then they got to CDLP and was like, boom, that was your space. So sometimes it's just about finding the area of the company that's best suited for you by kind of feeling around. So CDL has been really powerful for a lot of people who wanted to be in a different space, operate from a different standpoint here with the company. And we were glad we were able to create an environment for people to be able to do that. So that's what it's been for us. So with that being said, we are going to move into talking about workshopping. So for those that are not 100% familiar with workshopping, whenever you're doing will workshop, that's workshopping. Whenever you do an identity theft workshop, that's workshopping. Whenever you're going to the different, what we call them, what's the word, Sharanda, when we go to the
Safety meetings.
Say that again.
Lounge.
Yeah,
Safety
lounge.
meetings
What's
and
the other
lounge.
thing y'all go to where the trucking, several trucking companies are coming together sometime and doing something? What do you call those?
Rodeos.
Yeah, truck rodeos. If you're doing, you may be workshopping at a truck rodeo. It's just you doing a presentation that's not really a Legal Shield presentation, but you're doing it to sell the Legal Shield product, if that makes sense. So years ago, I don't know, at this point, it was probably like maybe the second, third year I was in the business. So we talking about 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. I started doing will workshops, and we were bringing on a lot of churches doing that, going church to church doing will workshops. And that was really huge in the beginning of my business because I was recruiting people in churches. I was bringing churches into the business. I was selling a lot of memberships 2 or 3 years in. And it was because I was doing workshops. Now, at that point, I hadn't mastered anything with it. We weren't really calling it workshopping. We were just doing will workshops because it made sense. And it grew the business because a lot of times people who knew what Legal Shield was, and at the time it was prepaid legal, knew what prepaid legal was, but they didn't understand we were doing a real workshop. Once we educated them and then put them in the membership, it made more sense because they would say, oh, I heard of this before, or I've had it before, but I didn't realize I could do this with it, I could do that with it. What workshopping does for your business as a presenter, especially in this space, is a couple of different things. One, it allows you to educate people on how they can use the product before you sell them the product. And that makes a lot of sense simply because when you go right at the sale and right, you should buy this, this is what it can do. When they hear, when they feel like they're being sold to first, they kind of put a wall up before they really get the real gist of what the membership does. When you go on as a workshop, they're coming to be educated because a workshop, right, is supposed to educate. Yes or yes. So put a one in the chat if you guys understand that. A workshop is meant to educate. So the whole idea is to create an educational environment. And then once you educate them and say, this is what's good for you to be able to do, then you give them an affordable way to do it. That's the model that way. And I want you guys to understand that because that will help you create different kinds of workshops once you understand exactly why those work. That's the mentality behind the workshop. So some ways that I've used it to really benefit was one, for those that have prospected churches before, when I first started prospecting churches, I ran into that brick wall and I found out that every pastor has a big cabinet in their office full of network marketing products because they've got network marketing experts in their congregation that's always trying to get them to, because everybody's dream is if I recruit a pastor, I'm going to be at the top of the chain. I'm going to make millions of dollars because pastors are a center of influence. And if I can get a pastor to buy into my company and get on my team, then I'm going to be successful. That's not true necessarily, but that's the narrative. That's the mindset that we believe that if we recruit a pastor, then we hit a gold mine. So many people approach pastors that they got so burnt out on network marketing that when you gave them your stuff, they just put it in that cabinet in their office, and they had a cabinet full of network marketing stuff from all the people in their congregation that tried to recruit them into whatever they was in, right? And back then it was Mana B and all the juice companies. That's when the big juice companies was out, and all the vitamins and all the liquid Superman and Superwoman stuff was in the market. So it was all about that. And people have been approaching pastors with, at the time, prepaid legal. Every pastor knew about prepaid legal. But the workshops, doing the will workshops, we were able to take a different angle. So when we started doing the will workshops, we started approaching the churches with, look, as a pastor, you really shouldn't be giving legal advice. You don't want to keep them in a situation where you have to help your clients in legal situations. You don't want to be in a situation where wills haven't been done and people are passing in the church and all of those things are coming up in the congregation when it's a family that goes to your church. All of the hassles that come along with or somebody passing and a will not being in place, that falls on your church a lot of times. Not having insurance, not having a will, a lot of times will fall on a church if it's a church that is attended regularly by that particular person that passes or their family. So we kind of went at that angle and we started doing the will workshops, and then we created the PowerPoint to do it. And we started feeding the congregation we were doing it, and we got a huge turnout, and it ended up being a massive recruiting scenario as well for us back in the day, probably a decade ago. And that's when I first started understanding the power of workshop. That was before I was ever doing any business solutions. At this time, I wasn't even doing business solutions. I was strictly just doing network marketing and selling identity theft, because that's kind of where I started with my business. So once I understood workshopping and I got into the B2B space, then I started doing lunch and learns, right? That's immediately what I got into. That's how I got into all my schools, all lunch and learns, right? I got a few schools that wasn't lunch and learn, but the majority of my clinics, the majority of my schools, all office units where there's somewhere between maybe 5 and 15 employees at a place, I got in with lunch and learns. So for those that may know me for any amount of time, I landed Aaron's, which is a 2,700 unit account. I did that back in 2012, 2013. But how did I land Aaron's? Breakfast. They were having meetings every Friday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning at Aaron's. And instead of me doing lunch and learns, I was providing breakfast for them. That's how I landed that account, by doing those right workshopping that way, coming in and buying breakfast and then doing a presentation that way. Sometimes I would do an identity theft presentation. Sometimes I would do a presentation on how to use legal services. Whenever I went into minority-owned businesses or minority programs, I would always word the workshop differently. So for those that obviously you look at the news, you know what's going on, you know that a lot of times minorities will have a difficult time dealing with law enforcement. So we started going to places and doing programs about how to effectively deal with law enforcement as a youth, right? Having the membership, and if you get pulled over by a police officer or questioned because you're with a group of people that may be doing things that's wrong, but you're not doing anything wrong, how to be able to tell that officer politely, I need to be able to call my attorney. We have a family attorney, blah, 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 blah. And then that was them being able to use their legal shield product. So we workshopped everything and we got in places faster and we got around, right, all of the shutting us down because we were prepaid legal or legal shield or whatever we were being called at the time, mostly legal shield and prepaid legal. The other thing that we were able to get around was the associates who worked there who wasn't really doing the business, right? So I'm gonna pick on somebody I know, right? Anthony Norris. And if anybody does, put a 2 in the chat if this has happened to you before. If you do anything that has to do with business solutions where you're doing groups or you're talking to groups of people, you're doing things at the chamber or any place like that, there's always a legal shield person that's still active, but they ain't sold a membership in 5 years. And as soon as you come in there to do your presentation, they all of a sudden are interested in being active in legal shield again. So we were running into that a lot. You go to a church, we do a presentation, and here comes this person, and they're like, "Oh, I've been doing legal shield for 7 years, and this is the church I go to, and like I was going to talk to the pastor about this, but I hadn't gotten a chance to." That's always the MO. we were really able to get around that by coming in and workshopping and not calling it a prepaid legal shield presentation, which allowed us to be able to present. And before that person realized that it was a legal shield presentation, we were already going. We were already ready. Things were already passed out. Does that make sense? So it was too late for that person to try to block what you were doing. Because if you were actively working legal shield in that place, then they would know who we were and they wouldn't allow us to come in. But of course, that's always that's what would happen. So we were able to get around them too, because when we came in as a workshop, we didn't come in saying prepaid legal or legal shield. We came in saying we're doing an identity theft workshop. We're doing a legal program, a workshop showing you how to deal with your legal issues affordably. Like, we would just not use the name and just do the workshop. So it really helped me grow on the B2B side. It helped me grow on the networking side. I've still got people on my team, active people on my team right now, who were recruited in an event at a church, because we wasn't even doing it for that reason. And what ended up happening was we were going there and we would present, and then as we would present, somebody in that congregation or somebody's would always come afterwards and say, so Mr. Norris, who making all this money on this deal? Right? And a lot of times I trained my associates to do it. So we were going to churches that were because after, I ran through my list quick. Everything I was doing, I would go through it quick. So all the pastors I knew, all the churches I had relationships with, I hit them right away. And then after that, as I brought new associates in, we would tell them, where do you go to church at? What pastors do you know? So a lot of times I would be doing a presentation for somebody on my team when I would come in and do it. And now that person says, oh, Mr. Norris, Mr. Norris would come and say, hey, who's making all this money? Right? And I could say Earl, the guy Earl right there, he knows the pastor. So, I'm just doing a presentation for him. But yeah, the memberships, he's the one that's going to make money on it, because he's the associate. But how can I become an associate? Because I would love to be able to do that. And the great thing about a presentation like that is now we didn't have to go back to that church. And I'm the kind of person that I want to be able to start something and move on and let it grow. So now my associate who was able to get in that church, once they recruit somebody in that church, guess what? Now Earl has a relationship with the people in the church. And once Earl becomes an associate, now Earl can be like, hey man, that presentation the other day, man, did you get your membership yet? And now so if I'm doing this presentation for Earl, right? I'm doing it for Earl. Earl knows the pastor, but somebody in that church that decided they want to be an associate, now they're helping Earl close more people, and Earl's splitting the business with that person because they have a relationship and they're in that church every week. So they can get the people to close where Earl is not going to that church necessarily. He doesn't belong to that church. So sometimes that can dry up. But if there's somebody in that congregation that you recruit, then they can keep on talking to the people about the membership and just doing a split with that person. Now they got a new person on their team that's kind of got a place to fish for their brand new business, if that makes sense, right? Then we move forward to say, now introduce this to the company that you work for, blah, blah, blah. So that's how it will work for us. So workshopping is very successful to be able to do it that way. Another way I used it when I got into the B2B space, not only to open up groups, but I was also able to use workshopping when I had a lot of accounts, because I started working bigger accounts with a young lady in Jacksonville named Rebecca. So me and Rebecca are really, really close. She's been in Legal Shield for 30 years. She's probably, I think at this point, she's sold over 27,000 memberships in the company. And she lives in Jacksonville where I live at. And she has a lot of she's a old school insurance agent who has a lot of counties and cities and things like that. So for those that knew me when I was doing a lot of traveling and doing big groups, I was working groups with Rebecca Smith and her husband, Ken Terry. And what we started doing was all of the companies that said you can only come in once a year, right? Because a lot of the big cities and counties, you got open enrollment, then you can't come back. And anybody who doesn't enroll at that point, you can't enroll them into next year, because it's one time you go and you do your presentation, and then the memberships get submitted at a specific time, and then it's an active enrollment date, blah, blah, blah. So most of you guys know that. And yes, Louise Bates, Living Legacy, that was our company, Living Legacy Benefits Group. That's how we did all of our workshops for churches and stuff. We actually created that company, Living Legacy Benefits, so that we could go into churches and nonprofits and do the presentation because we would give back. So that's interesting that you brought that up, Louise Bay. So let me step back 1 second to say something. Another thing that we would do is when we got into the church, the reason why we call our company Living Legacy Benefits Group is because we would always tell the pastor. So again, I'm gonna use Earl Smith as if I'm talking to him as that pastor, so that I can understand why this would make sense. When we would come in and do our workshop for the will workshop, we would say, so Pastor Smith, so what we do with our company, Living Legacy Benefits Group, is when we come in and we do this presentation, when your congregation buys into the membership, they now can get their will done. So we'll come back and we'll show them how to get their will set up with the will pamphlet, and then they're gonna turn those into the law firm. So anybody that gets the membership, when we come back, we'll do a separate meeting for them to show them how to do that paperwork so that they can turn that into the law firm. And then anybody that bought memberships from us, right, we would say, so Pastor Smith, we're going to actually give 25% of the profit that comes in from that back to the church as an offering. That always went over huge. And it made sense that we were Living Legacy Benefits Group, because we would then, if we went in there and sold 35 memberships, whatever amount of money that was that we made going in there as a team to sell those membership, we would actually give 25% of what we made back to the church in an offering. And that always went over well because we just gave it to the church, and they felt like some of the money that we made off their congregation came back to the church and went to the church's coffers. So that always went well too. And we had that in our paperwork. So that was always something that was supported by the pastors and churches and things like that. Sometimes they didn't even want us to do that, but we would do it anyway. So that was always helpful. So thanks for Ms. Bates for bringing that up here. So when we were going to the companies and they would say, hey, one time a year, what we ended up doing was realizing that if we do a will workshop or an identity theft workshop, we would then be able to still enroll those people. So again, conversation, right? So let me take Shelter now, somebody else I see here. So Shelter is the HR rep, and we can only come in the end of October. We're there for 2 days doing the enrollment. The memberships get submitted at the end of December, and January 1st, those people are all active members. That's normally how the bigger groups go, especially when they're counties and cities and things like that. So we were going to do that, but then midway through the next year, I would call and say, hey, Ms. Shelter, this is Robert Dunbar with Legal Shield, or I'll say Oceanside Benefits Group, which is the company that I sold Legal Shield through, because I had Living Legacy Benefits Group. And for most of you guys that know me, I know I have 2 agreements, and they're both under company names. So I had Oceanside Benefits and Living Legacy. I would say, this is Robert Dunbar from Oceanside Benefits, and I want to come in and do a workshop for you guys, because the HR department always has a wellness program. If you guys are familiar with that, put a 3 in the chat, right? They have a wellness. So if you want to do this, you're going to ask for the wellness coordinator, because guess what the wellness coordinator is looking to do? The wellness coordinator is looking to do programs for the staff at that place, right? Programs for them to attend that can help them in everyday life. It's kind of like education, and they want it to be on the health side, things that have to do with a better quality of life, if you will, which is why they call it a wellness program. So when we realized that's what they were doing, it would be, hey, Ms. Shelter, who controls the wellness program for you guys? She may say it's her because she HR, depends on the size of their office. If she says it was her, then we'll say, so do you guys do the programs for your staff? Oh yeah, we're always looking for programs. So well, we have a will workshop program and an identity theft program that we do as a workshop. Because you guys are one of our accounts, can we come in and do that for you all? And they were, oh my God, that's so great. Yeah, we were looking for some things to do. We're already familiar with you. You guys are already vetted. Again, most of you guys know when the account's that big, they have to vet you and all that so that you have a badge to be able to come into those counties and cities and things, especially school districts, depending on where you're at. So that was for them, the job was halfway done because we were already presenting there anyway as the employee benefits company. So we would come in and then we would do that presentation. We're going to do a will workshop presentation to let them know how they can get their will done through the membership. And then if anybody else wants to enroll, they can. So what we realized doing that was that HR would let us enroll new people, because guess what they didn't want? They didn't want to be a company that said, you can't enroll in this benefit anymore. It's March We did a will workshop. Somebody is saying, I need to get my will done. They can't get it until the beginning of next year because they don't have the membership. And now they passed at some time during that year and they didn't have a will because they didn't have the membership, even though we came and educated them. So what they will start doing is saying, anybody who comes to the wellness will workshop presentation who decides they want to get a Legal Shield membership, at that time, we will let you enroll in an enrollment program at that time because you found out about it at the wellness program, which allowed us to be able to do another enrollment for that company during the year, when normally we can only come in once a year. Does that make sense to everybody? So we started now contacting all of our companies that only let us in once and start setting up will workshops and identity theft workshops to come in and do that so that we had a second chance to enroll people again. And now, instead of us being in a room full of other vendors or presenting with 10 other companies, it was just us. It wasn't enrollment season. They didn't have the overwhelming, overbearing enrollment season deal going on. It was a different time in the season, and we just came in by ourselves, did a will workshop, really could explain to them how important it is to have a will. And then when they were like, you know what, I didn't even know we had this membership here. If they decided to enroll in the membership, they could actually actively get the plan now, even though it was not the beginning of the year. So that's how we was able to use it on a business solution group opening side when it came to workshopping. So workshopping can be a really big deal if you go in and say, hey, even with your trucking companies, hey, we want to do a workshop, identity theft workshop, or we want to do a will workshop for your staff at the next safety meeting. Like, workshop it. Don't always make it seem like an employee benefit that you're coming in to talk about, because sometimes they don't want an employee benefit. They don't want a sales presentation, but they will take education, if that makes sense to everybody. So, Sharanda, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, all those are good points.
Good stuff. Anybody have any questions about workshopping? Put your hand up, electronic hand, or physical hand, or type it in the chat. One of the three options. Going once. Going to, one, I'm sorry. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
So you would do the same workshopping at a safety meeting?
Yep. So for instance, let's say you working with a trucking company and you just went to the last safety meeting you did in enrollment, and they had 27 truckers and 6 of them got the plan. I would have asked to come back to the next safety meeting and do another enrollment. Can I come back? Because I like to be at all my safety meetings. I like to be there because, again, obviously you become part of the company at that point, right? You're there with the insurance rep and the other people who are there. I would say, hey, when the next safety meeting, I'm gonna come back. Is it okay if I do a will workshop? Is it okay if I do my identity theft workshop? And then they'll give you a certain amount of time. Normally, right? When you go to a safety meeting for a company, if they're sizable company, and I don't mean sizable, I'm not talking about 100 trucks. I'm not talking about 200 trucks. I'm talking about 20 or 30 guys. A lot of times at the safety meetings, the company will provide a meal for them. It'll be breakfast. They'll provide breakfast for their staff. They'll do it like in a hotel or room or something like that. I'm coming in doing a workshop. I don't even have to buy the meal for them. And I would always do a raffle. So I would bring my raffle cage. I would do a raffle. I would give away the Blue Parrot headset. I would give away truck washes, that kind of stuff. And I would do a will workshop when I did that workshop. And particularly, I would start with the identity theft workshop because I don't sell the identity theft when I do the original rolling. So I would always come back and do an identity theft workshop and then come back and do a will workshop because, again, we sold the CDL plan, but now let's start attaching the family plan and showing how they're relative. Because now you got some people that say, you know what, I need to get that family plan too. But not only that, people who didn't get the CDLP the first time, a lot of times they will get it when you come back at that second safety meeting, simply because now they're more familiar with you. A couple of people have gotten a membership. It's a different environment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a great way to be able to do it. And it was always a big thing for me. And it gave me, I don't like to just do the same mundane all the time. So it also gave me the ability to have a different presentation, because sometimes you do that presentation in everybody's wallet because it's a sales presentation. It's an enrollment. And you know how some people are, they sit down in enrollment and their whole mindset is, I'm not buying. When you come in to do a workshop, guess what happens? They're not thinking I'm not buying. They're thinking education. And now you educate them on what the product does. And it's like, oh man, I didn't ever think about that. You know, I think I need to get that. And now they're buying because you've educated them. So it really does work when you do workshops and you leave the Legal Shield name out of it and come up with a nice name for your workshop. And that's why it's important, again, going back to the point that we've made several times on this call, which is you should be operating from a company name or at least a DBA, so that you have a marketing company name to be able to use. Because I always operated as Living Legacy Benefits Group and Oceanside Benefits Group presents. So I never had to say Legal Shield or PPLSI or Prepaid Legal, which helped me because, again, sometimes that, depending on who you're talking to, somebody may have had a bad experience either because of a lawyer or because of a bad associate or because they had a bad experience with the membership for whatever reason, right? We know that happens no matter what you buy. So I wanted them to give me a chance based on me being able to present from my standpoint and tell them that what kind of customer service that I would offer. So a workshop always gave me a chance to get them to trust me without me throwing the company name out there first. And you guys have heard me mention that several times over. So that's how it was helpful for me.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Anybody else? Any more questions about anything? Going once? Going twice? All right, good stuff. So thanks for sticking with us to 9:15. So got an announcement to make, and I've been trying to hold back from making this announcement for all this time, and I gotta do it. It's an integrity. I see you shaking your head, Anthony. I see you, brother. So, God, I gotta let y'all know that I'm gonna have to stop this call, this Monday night call, and it has nothing to do with you all. It's all on me. It's not a thing to do with you guys. I have really seriously moved on. So for those that have a close relationship with me, you guys know I own 3 other companies. 2 of them are partnerships. I started doing a non-profit with another guy here where I live at, and we've got a development center for Black business owners. We got a Black Men of Business program that we're running. I mean, I've got 1,000 things that I'm doing here on the education, training, and coaching side with my business. And I just can't give the energy like I would want to here. And it really bothers me that I'm not giving you guys everything. Like some of y'all may have noticed, y'all not getting emails no more. Now, like, it's a lot that has not been happening because I have pulled back because my focus has not been Legal Shield for probably the last 3.5, 4 years. For those that did not know this, I am no longer a field trainer. I am no longer a certification trainer. So that's why y'all don't see me training anymore, like with Alan Roman. I'm not any of those things anymore. So I pulled back, I completely pulled back. And some of you guys are reaching out to me and asking me things like, oh, do you have the pricing sheet? And I don't have any of that stuff, guys. I'm not opening groups no more. I'm not actively working Legal Shield anymore. And I think at this point, for me to keep trying to train on a Monday night when I'm not actively doing it is probably not the best thing for me to be doing because it's other people that can train you guys, obviously, that are more actively doing things. And where I'm at right now, I'm just in a different space. I'm trying to grow. We're trying to grow this development center in Jacksonville, Florida. I've got over 40 coaching clients that I'm dealing with. I got coaching programs for corporations that I'm doing. I've got all kinds of things that I'm doing. Like I said, now I've got 2 partnerships. You guys know one with Hero Branch in Arizona and another one with a guy here in Jacksonville. So I've just got a lot of different things happening in my personal coaching business. And I just don't have I stopped having the time to do Legal Shield a long time ago. I don't work my accounts anymore. I don't do any of that. And for me to continue to train on a Monday night probably is not the best thing. Not only can I use the time to do something else, but it's also a situation where I'm not giving you guys 100% anymore because I don't have the time to put together certain things to train you guys the way I would like to. So it's best for me to pull back. It's best for me to quit before I get fired. Let me say that. Right. So what do they say, right? I don't want you guys to be like, I don't want to be on the air no more because the guy ain't talking about that no more. So it's really for me about being able to step back and let somebody else step up. Me and Sharanda talked about this, obviously, and you guys are, she's gonna talk to you guys about being welcome to get on a Thursday night. She does the Thursday night call. So you guys can still have, will have that Thursday night. Sharanda's not going anywhere. She's still a certification trainer. She's still a field trainer. She's still doing, doing the deal. So Sharanda will still be working on Thursday. Some of you guys are doing Thursday anyway. So you guys are familiar with that. Some of you guys, I work with y'all on other areas. So I got people on here, probably about 10 or more people that are on this call every week. You guys are in other programs with me, so I'm gonna see some of you guys anyway. But I really didn't want to keep on. I was going to try to press through this year, and I can't do it because I just can't give y'all the energy that I need to, and I think y'all deserve better than that. And I feel like after I've been doing this for 5 years, Sharanda, myself, some of the other trainers, and I just feel like at this point, it's probably good for me to just back up from it, and just allow everybody to be able to get on Thursday, be able to continue to grow. You guys just came back from a conference. I've been talking to people. It was a really good, I wasn't there, but it was a really good conference, and people feel like they got a different set of energy now because of what's happening with the new CEO and everything. And I want you guys to just kind of be in the space and get things done that y'all need. Of course, most of you guys here, I know y'all, if y'all need to reach out to me about something, you can. For those that are in my other programs, I'll see you on that stuff. But the Monday night, I'm going to have to really back up from. I want to say Sharanda's got a link that she's going to be able to get you guys to enroll into the Thursday if you would like to, so that you guys can continue to do that. And thank you guys for everything y'all put in the chat. I appreciate it. And y'all know training is a passion for me. So I really, really, really don't like to have to do this, but I also really don't like to be doing something and not giving it 100%. And I'm not giving it 100% because it's not where my head is at anymore. So Sharanda, I'm going to turn over to you.
So appreciate that, Dunbar. And so you have to respect that and give him his time back. So I know he's been pushing on that, weighing on him, but I do host the accountability call. It's a mastermind. It's at 8:00. I don't record it. I really prefer that the call comes. I host that. It's not a corporate call. I host that. I started that. It's my Zoom. So we don't come to the call with all this stuff. So, because I pay for the Zoom. Okay. And I host the call. I do that freely because it's something that I contributed. Actually, Dunbar asked me when I got started, what was going to be my contribution. And that's just something I thought that, this space, if I had that early on, but Dunbar and them did start it when I was focused on this space. They had started this call, which was phenomenal. It hadn't always been here. So I do host the accountability call. It's a mastermind. We do it probably now about an hour and a half, and we definitely get off. I used to allow them to let me stay. I used to allow them to keep me up to the next day, but I don't do that. So I pushed the call back and we started early, and I definitely try to end it at 9:30. But that mastermind is just, like I say, it's hosted by me. My Zoom, I pay for it. It's not a corporate Zoom. I don't record it. We mastermind. We talk about, what these individuals, because I know that these individuals that get on that call are truly making dials or walking in. And so they're just conversating amongst each other, giving best practices. So you're definitely welcome to attend, but don't come with your energy about this, that, or the third. Because, like I say, these people are truly working. And if you want to learn, you can come, but you need to contribute. It won't be a call where you sit and just listen. A mastermind is about communication and about collaboration, and that's what these individuals do. So I'll drop the link and I'll send out the information for those, because I know who is new, who may not have gotten on before. And I'll send the link out to you. And you're welcome to come. And I'll let you come for 1 week. And if you don't like it and don't show back up, it's okay. But it's definitely not a popcorn type thing. Because, accountability is being accountable. So just think about if you want to be accountable to yourself, okay? And I think you'll get a lot out of the call. Dunbar, you been on that call? You ain't been on that call.
I was on there once, and then I also, you had me come on there and talk one time too as well.
Okay.
Hmm?
All righty, well. So, but you guys are welcome. A lot of the people that you see, like, you know, Bob Frazier, Gene, Anthony used to be on there, but a lot of the people that you see on this call definitely comes on that call, and those individuals definitely are producing. So you're definitely welcome to come. And like I say, it's a Sharanda host call on Sharanda host Zoom. Okay.
And I think the stretching part of that too, Sharanda, is that the people who get on that call, if you're saying, hey, I've been having some trouble making my calls, or I keep getting on these trainings and listening, but not actively doing anything, that might be a place that stretches you, right? So not being on this Monday night call where you can just listen, and getting on that Thursday night call where you kind of got some accountability, a little bit more push to actually move forward, that might be helpful to you. So again, I will look at it that way. I always know that there's some positivity in it, and I think about stuff for a long time. So in all transparency, and Anthony knows this, I had a conversation about ending this call with Anthony in the beginning of the year. So Anthony kind of knew it was coming because I had that conversation with him, and it's April and I'm just not doing it. So I actually been spinning it in my head all this time. And I knew it was time. And as soon as we got on tonight, Sharanda said something to me. which put my mind that I had already said I'm gonna go ahead and announce it tonight, but before I could even say that to Sharanda, she said something to me about it. So I know it's good timing, guys, and I appreciate, you know, all the love and all of that. You know,
Can you start recording?
Oh yeah, hold on. Yep.
So Daniel, true, you don't have to try to get there. That's one thing about this call, okay? You don't have to show up because you're not being accountable to me. You're showing up for yourself. So whether you show up or not, I'm not gonna call to check on you. I'm not gonna worry about any of that. So if you want to get on, you want to get on. If you don't, you don't. If you want to show up, you can. That's great. All this is on you, okay? But like I said, it is not a corporate ran call. I pay my $12.95 a month for that Zoom. And so you can come, you're welcome to come, but it's not that type of deal. And again, don't post on the CDLP page talking about you can't get on the Zoom, because again, that will be an error. That will be a user error thing, because you know they're questioning that because y'all do that now. And I'm not saying everybody, but when you don't, somebody posted tonight, and when you don't show up, I mean, the link been the same for 4 months since the new year, right? He changed the link from last year. So that lets you know you ain't been, the person ain't been on the call since last year. Now they are posted on Facebook talking about they can't get on the Zoom. You know, so don't post about my accountability on that Facebook page, because I hardly ever get on there, but I do not want to go on that page looking about somebody talking about they can't get on no accountability call for CDLP. Because like I said, it's not a corporate Zoom, and it's my Zoom, and I'm being accountable. I devote my time and try to share the knowledge that I've learned and try to support the market with that. And I've been doing it for the last 4 years, every Thursday night. So, so like I said, if you want to join, you're welcome. You can fill out the form on there. I'll send out the link. You can show up. We welcome you, but it's accountability. Just take responsibility for yourself. I know you'll learn a lot, but it's really about accountability. So don't post nothing about you can't get on my accountability call on that Facebook page. I promise you I'll delete the message.
So the Facebook, and a couple of people are asking this on YouTube. So just in case you guys need to know it. the YouTube channel is not, I mean, the Facebook channel page is not going anywhere. So like, we're not like disassembling the Facebook page, none of that. Like, that's fine. That's going to continue to run. I'm not the only person that helps with that page. So at this point.
And don't go out there tonight
Yeah.
posting by Goodbye Dunbar. Don't do that, okay, y'all? I'm serious like that. I'm just saying, we're adults that do not do that. Do not.
Yeah,
bring
don't make it,
attention-
don't make a, yeah.
Yeah, don't make
on
no
here,
scene about that.
they don't need to know. Yeah, if they're not on here with us, they don't need to know.
And that's
it's
sad you have to
fine.
say that.
Yeah, because it's because we don't want to stir up anything. Of course, obviously, you know, all the
It's
powers
not
that
that-
you know that what I'm doing, but still, yeah, don't make a scene. We don't want to make it a thing. It's just, but I felt like it was something that I needed to have a conversation about. So that's pretty much where that's at. But the Facebook page is still gonna be there, and then accountability on Thursday night, so you guys still have that support to make sure you guys are able to move in the direction that y'all need to move in. So good stuff. All right, guys. So if you guys have any questions, anything before we go, let us know. Anybody? You guys good?
Good luck in your endeavors. To wish you the best.
Absolutely.
Good luck.
Appreciate
Good
that,
luck.
Ms. Wanda.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Good luck. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Good luck. Yes,
Good
yes.
luck, Robert.
Good luck.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you,
Good luck.
Joe.
Good luck, Robert.
For all the knowledge to have it, even having this Zoom.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Dunbar
Appreciate
started
it.
this call and the Facebook page.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys for sticking with us. Some of y'all been with us for the whole for the whole 5 years. So yeah, man, that's a long time. I think about them 5 years and I'm like, somebody said to me the other day, you've been doing this call longer than your granddaughter been alive. So my grandbaby just turned 4 last week. So yeah, man, it's been a run. It's been a run, and it's good to be able to know that people been hanging with us this long, man, and really like learning and growing. It's good to see so many people that work not even doing anything in this space to really start opening groups and being, getting awards. And I mean, even Sharanda, like, you know what I mean? Like Sharanda's gotten 2 LOJ awards in a amount of time. I mean, it's crazy. So it's just been a lot of success, a lot of activity, guys. So we definitely appreciate you guys all. Yep.
Thanks again, Dunbar, man. You cool dude. You good. And it's good to see, again, you living out your dream, your passion. And that just goes to show the growth in you, that you learned from before you came here and going through, man. So bravo, my brother.
I appreciate it, brother. And you know what else? It goes to show too, Anthony. A lot of people don't realize, and I wish some people would grow in that space. I've got people in Legal Shield that don't even talk to me.
Thanks a lot, Sharanda, too.
Full time anymore.
And Dunbar.
What they need to understand is that where I'm at now in my business, Legal Shield funded it. So it's not about me having it's about Legal Shield and this residual income and all this stuff. The relationships I created and the business I was able to build allowed me the time freedom to start my coaching and training company and move it into a different place. Like my coaching company is like doing something totally different that I wasn't ever even expecting it to do. When we've now created a partnership with a nonprofit where my company is over the entire educational department of a nonprofit for Black business development. And all of this was started from the money I made with Legal Shield, the relationships I created with Legal Shield, training on stage with Legal Shield, and training in marketplaces with Legal Shield before I was training on my own company. So Legal Shield is a testament to what I've been able to create. And I've been able to move on from there and do my real dream. And some people see that as a disloyalty instead of growth and a stepping stone into the space that I need to be in. So I appreciate you saying that, brother.
You're welcome, my man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. So don't forget, if you guys want to go roll with Sharanda, go ahead and get yourself plugged in there, and you guys will be good. And I think that's it.
That's all, folks.
That's it.
All the best.
So I'll see some of y'all
Tomorrow.
somewhere.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, some of y'all, absolutely. Tomorrow night, I'll see some of y'all on some other programs, all right? So you guys enjoy the rest of y'all's evening, and thanks a lot for everything. Sharanda, I'll see you later too.
All righty. See you later, buddy. We'll talk.
Yep.
Thank you. Good night,
Bye.
guys.
Good night,
Good
all.
night.